You walk onto a battlefield where the dead outnumber the living. A 17-year-old boy stands among them, not as a hero, not as a survivor, but as someone who doesn't know how to stop fighting. The war is over, but inside him, it never ended. He doesn't fight for honor. He doesn't fight for glory. He fights because violence is the only language he understands. This isn't the rise of a hero. It's the slow dismantling of a monster. This is Vagabond. The chapter starts with corpses. We are shown that there was a war there, in which many soldiers were killed, and one of them is our main character, Shinmen Takezo, who is still alive, and his friend was also with him, whose name is Matahachi Hanaden. Then, he picks him up and starts walking. Now, from their conversation, we find out that both of them have left their village and set out on a journey, and their purpose is to fight the famous fighters, defeat them, and earn fame. At night, they stop to rest. Matahachi says, "Why did we come here? We have been eating grass instead of food for 10 days. We left our village and came to make a name. I thought we would kill a few generals and go back, but it doesn't seem that we will be able to do this." Then, a sword suddenly comes behind his neck and then attacks him. He runs away from there and shouts, "Takezo, the refugee hunters have come. The war is not over yet, and these are their enemies who survived." On the other hand, we see that Takezo is fighting the hunters. He says, "If you try to kill me, then I will not leave you," and he crushes both of them without any weapon. And the man who was attacking his friend hits him with a big stone and crushes his head, and then both of them start walking ahead. And then Takezo says, "I am not going to die so easily." Then his friend also gets excited and says, "Me too. Whatever happens, we will make our name." After a while, Matahachi falls unconscious. Takezo sees that there were a lot of corpses lying around. He sensed that there is someone here. Then, he also falls unconscious. And then, a girl comes to him. As soon as Takezo comes to his senses, he sees a woman in front of him, whose name is Oko. Her friend is also sitting there. Takezo comes out and says, "Let's get out of here." Matahachi says, "What are you saying? They saved our lives and gave us food too. And she also wants us to stay here for a few days. Anyway, those refugee hunters are looking for us to kill." Oko says, "Yes, Takezo, he is right, and one of you should marry Akemi and stay here." Matahachi immediately refuses and says, "I can't. I already have a fiancé." Later, Takezo is collecting mushrooms outside. Then, Akemi comes and tells him the difference between poisonous and real mushrooms. And then, both start talking to each other. There, it is found that Akemi is 15 years old, and Takezo is only 17 years old. Hearing this, Akemi is also shocked. She thought he was around 30 years old. Then, Akemi tells him that she is actually a thief. She collects swords from the bodies and sells them. She asks another question. She says, "Who are you?" Then, a man comes from behind. Akemi starts hitting him with a stone. Takezo holds his hand and stops him. And then, Akemi tells him that this is Tsujikaze Tenma, who is also my father's killer. That man comes and says to Akemi, "You and Oko have started stealing again. Our Tsujikaze gang will not tolerate this. Let's tell Oko." After this threat, we see that Oko hides all the stolen stuff on the roof so that Tenma could not reach it. One of them, a wooden sword, likes Takezo's and gives Oko permission. After that, they are all eating food and drinking sake. Sake means alcohol, and Oko was forcing Takezo to drink more sake. Matahachi says, "Takezo, now we should get out of here." Takezo says, "Okay. Where should we go now?" He says, "I was thinking, why don't we go back to our village, Miyamoto?" Because of drinking too much, Takezo goes to sleep immediately. Then, in his dream, Takezo talks to his father and asks him, "Father, where is Mom?" His father beats him and says, "Now, that woman is not your mother." Then, his eyes open, and again Oko sits in front of him and stares at him, and then Oko comes to him and tries to kiss him, but he immediately moves back. Oko says angrily, "Takezo, you tried to insult me." Then, the door of his house knocks, and outside, people of the Tsujikaze gang were standing. His whole gang looks for his house, but they don't find anything. Oko says, "I told you, we didn't steal anything. You must have sake." Oko says, "You know where it is. Go and take it." Then Oko says, "If you become mine, then you won't have to bear all this." Oko says, "I am not that low to fall in love with the murderer of my husband." And from this, we know that Akemi is Oko's daughter. I thought she was his elder sister. Then Tenma says, "Do this. Check the ceilings." And when they do this, many swords fall from the sky, and his lie is caught. Then their men find Akemi inside the armoire, and as soon as he tells his men to fuck him, and then he goes towards Oko. And then we see that at the door of his room, Takezo and Matahachi were ready to attack him, but he was also not an amateur. He punches the door and breaks the second door and takes Takezo's face with his hands. But Takezo is an animal. He cuts his hand and takes his flesh, and then he stabs his head with his sword. Takezo says, "It's good I left my village and came here. You are their general. It will be a great honor to kill you. Don't worry, today I will kill you with these hands." After that, Matahachi takes his sword and starts killing his men. Takezo was staring at him with his beast eyes. Tenma gets so scared that even a fighter like him gets scared. scared and runs away without fighting him. Then Takezo follows him and jumps and attacks his head, and until then he crushes his head until it becomes minced. Matahachi says, "His men were very weak. I killed them all." And there stands a wounded man. He tells him, "Send this news that on the same day in Miyamoto village, Matahachi and Shinmen Takezo killed your general, and then they were coming back." She says, "Look at them. They are like kids who are playing a game of blood." Then she says, "We have to get out of here or we will all die. The man you killed has a brother, Tsujikaze Kohei, and he is much more dangerous than him." At night, Matahachi was sitting outside, thinking about how people will escape from Tsujikaze. Then suddenly his lust wakes up, and he goes to Oko's room. Oko was sleeping there, and seeing her body, he can't wait, and he takes off his clothes and goes to her. Then Oko wakes up in the darkness. She can't see anything. She says, "Who are you, Matahachi or Takezo?" Matahachi realizes that she likes one of them, and for so many days living with her, she finds out that she likes Takezo. But at that time, Matahachi wanted her, so he takes advantage and tells her, "I am Takezo." And then she says, "You said she is your fiancé in the morning?" Matahachi was thinking, why did I take Takezo's name? Why didn't I control myself? Then he asks for forgiveness from his fiancé, Otsu. Then he tells Takezo, "Let's go back to our village." But Takezo says, "You go." When I left the village, that's when I decided that I will never go back there. Now, I am a vagabond. A vagabond is someone who doesn't have a home, and he travels from one place to another. And then we see that people from Tsujikaze come there. Now that their general died, they can do whatever they want. And like hungry dogs, they were coming to Oko. And to save Oko, Takezo and Matahachi run away. Takezo is built different, so he runs with the speed of a cheetah and reaches there first. When Matahachi reaches there, he sees so many horses outside the house and gets scared that there are too many people inside. On the other hand, Takezo was standing in front of them without fear, and now they all go to attack him. Standing outside, Matahachi didn't have the courage to go inside. He was talking to himself and trying to explain that he is your childhood friend. You have to go to save him, or he will be killed. He started going there, but then Oko comes. He says that, "You are here? Takezo went inside to save you." Oko says, "I knew after Tenma's death, these people would definitely come. After all, he was indirectly protecting me." And then she goes and hugs Matahachi. Inside, we are shown that Takezo is killing them all like dogs and cutting their heads off with his swords. And outside, we see that Oko and Matahachi are having sex. Takezo kills everyone inside and fills the room with blood, and then he comes out. And then he sees behind the tree that their clothes were lying there. After seeing this, he understands what happened. We see that Takezo has returned to his home, Miyamoto. Then, a man comes running to an old woman who is Matahachi's mother. He tells her that he has seen Shinmen Takezo in the village. She is shocked to hear this. Upon returning home, she tells him that if Takezo has returned, it means that my son Matahachi must have also returned with him. After all, that scoundrel had taken him with him to the war. She orders her boys to find Takezo. Then she sits and cries and was praying that, "I wish her Matahachi is alive." The old woman was also getting angry. Because of Takezo, her son had gone to war. She says, "If he is here, he has come without my Matahachi. Then I will not leave him alive." And then she goes to Takezo's house to see if he is there. Then she sees that some samurai are there. They had come there to find him, but Takezo was not there. The old woman also confirms with them, "Did he come alone?" They say, "Yes." Hearing this, the old woman comes to her knees. She was now sure that her Matahachi died in the war. She tells them that it is not so easy to catch him. At the age of 13, he had killed a tough man. Catch him before sunset. Otherwise, he will not come to you. Then, all those samurai were roaming in the village to find him. Then, a girl also passes through there, and she is actually Matahachi's fiancé, Otsu. Suddenly, Takezo comes out of the bushes on the side. She is shocked to see this. The samurai behind her hear her voice, and they see Takezo. And then Otsu realizes that this is Takezo. We see that they still could not catch Takezo. The old woman tells the leader of those samurai, "I was not surprised that he has not been caught by you yet. That man is not an ordinary man. He has been climbing mountains since childhood. He has hunted every animal and eaten it. He is a beast. He will deceive your people again and again and leave." Then we see that Takezo is sitting in the middle of the jungle. He is eating meat. He sees a man coming in his way. He goes in front of him, and that man starts shivering when he sees him. Takezo tells him, "Matahachi is alive. Send this message to his mother." Then he realizes that someone else was coming from there. That's why he holds his man's face and bows. Takezo was surprised to see that the villagers are helping the samurai to catch him. He slaps him in the nose. "Go! Send my message to his mother." He runs ahead and goes and tells the villagers that Takezo is on the other side. In the darkness of the night, that old woman has a sense that her son Matahachi has returned. That's why she runs away to where Matahachi and Takezo are standing. But this was her delusion. Actually, only Takezo was standing there. On the other hand, we see that Otsu, the samurai leader who was his guest, was serving him sake, but that samurai was flirting with her. "I think your fiancé must have died in the war. Now there is no use waiting for him. Then he takes the priest out of that room and then gets drunk on Otsu, but she sits tight and slaps him in the face and says, "I am Matahachi's fiancée, and she has already decided that I will marry him." And then she comes out and starts crying. The priest comes and says to her, "Forgive me. I couldn't do anything for you. By the way, this letter came from your name." On the other hand, the old woman was attacking Takezo. He throws her knife from her hand and says to her, "Matahachi is still alive." The old woman hears this and starts crying out of joy. Then she says to Takezo, "If this is the case, why didn't he come back with you? Tell me quickly. Where is my Matahachi?" And then, even though he doesn't want to, he has to tell her his bitter truth. He says that now Matahachi is with another woman and he left with her. Hearing this, her mother goes into shock. On the other hand, Otsu opens the letter and reads it. In it, first Oku had written that, "I am that woman with whom Matahachi is. I want you to forget Matahachi." Then Matahachi had written, "Forgive me, Otsu. From now on, forget me and find another life partner for yourself." Hearing this, Otsu breaks down and starts screaming like crazy. On the other hand, we see that the old woman apologizes to Takezo for her behavior and then welcomes him home. She says, "You haven't eaten anything. Go and take a bath. I'll make something for you." Takezo refuses. "There is no need for this." She says, No, I can do this much. After all, you are my dear son's friend." Hearing this, Takezo was convinced and he agrees with her. Now, when he is taking a bath, the old woman asks him, "What are you going to do next?" He says, "Now I am going to live. I will go everywhere and fight other fighters. I will also improve my sword skills." Then he notices that many samurai have surrounded him. We see that the old woman had laid this whole trap. She says with a smile, "What did you think? You will say anything about my son, and then I will believe? My son can't go with any other woman." Takezo comes out naked. The old woman says, "There is no point in fighting. You won't be able to defeat so many. Surrender." Then a samurai comes to attack him, which he finishes in one blow. Seeing this, everyone gets scared that this is a demon. Takezo says, "If you have to kill me, then you will have to attack with that intent. Otherwise, you will die." Seeing the letter, Otsu went in shock, and in anger, she was cursing that woman. And then she goes and rings the temple bell. On the other side, Takezo was slaughtering them all. By confusing, he would take some people inside and kill them, and would come out and finish the rest. The leader behind him was thinking that no matter how many you kill, at one point, your stamina will definitely end. Then suddenly, Takezo comes in front of him, attacks his head, and makes him unconscious. And looking into the old woman's eyes, he says, "You and your son both are not trustworthy." Then he starts washing the rest of the samurai too. There is no way out on the oven. They try to catch him and attack him, but that damn animal escapes from his flexibility. Seeing all that in his eyes, out of fear, they were calling him a demon. Takezo realizes that he won't be able to fight them for long. That's why he pushes them and runs away from there. But then, on the way, a stick breaks, because of which he falls and stands up and looks. There was a man standing there. Then that man says to Takezo, "No matter how big you are, your heart is very small." Takezo says, "Even if you are a monk, before I kill you, I won't think even a little." He says, "I knew it. You are afraid of people. Tell me the truth. You are the weakest person in this village." Takezo gets into thinking after listening to him. The samurai were also reaching there from behind. That's why he hides in the bushes there. Then the old woman and the samurai come and ask Takuan about Takezo. He lies to them and sends them ahead. After they leave, Takezo says, "I don't need your help." Then Takuan calls the samurai again and says, "Come soon." Takezo is hiding in the bushes here. After hearing this, Takezo runs away from there. The next day, the leader of the samurai was thinking while drinking sake that if I don't catch Takezo, then I will have to commit seppuku. Seppuku is a samurai ritual in which he kills himself, and which is also an honorable death. That's why he calls Otsu. At that time, Otsu is sitting under the tree and crying. That's why Takuan comes to her and says, "They are all calling you." Otsu says, "I don't like that samurai leader at all. And anyway, he will never be able to catch Takezo. He stays drunk all day." Takuan says, "You are absolutely right." And then he takes her with him. And as soon as he enters the room, he says to the samurai leader, "The man who is drunk all day, will he catch Takezo?" Hearing this, he gets angry and takes out his sword. On the other hand, we see that Takezo is in the middle of the jungle. He thinks, "I just came here to give this message that Matahachi is alive, and I didn't care about anything else." Then a man attacks him from the top of the tree. Takezo says, "You are neither from these samurai nor from the villagers, so why are you after me?" And then he tells him, "I am Tsujikaze Kohei." And that's where the video ends. Tell me in the comments how much you loved this manga. If you want me to continue covering this story, let's hit 50 comments and reach 100 subscribers, so I know you want more. Otherwise, I'll move on to a new dark masterpiece. And if you want to see how a 15-year-old boy turns into a complete psychopath to avenge his family, click right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.